trying to understand those customer requirements and develop these adapters. So for example, if your Hadoop installation has to be faked into believing that it's actually working with HDFS, but it's not, then an adapter like this will help it work with Lustre or some other parallel file system. So any of the HPC workloads there. Similarly, if you have an HPC scheduler that you want to interoperate with your MapReduce infrastructure, then you will have this kind of an adapter. So by all of this, you can retain the existing investment you have made in your HPC cluster and continue to run HPC jobs, but at the same time make that capacity available for Hadoop when you have the need for those. Okay, we are fast approaching the end of my allocated time. So I'm going to touch upon benchmarks and then I'm going to run the video. So we had a pop quiz, everybody is familiar with a lot of benchmarks, but in the big data space, I think this gentleman talked about having familiarity with a micro benchmark. But what we are finding is that there is a lack of an end-to-end benchmark, like a SpecInt or a Spec JBB. So what if you have a Hadoop cluster from one generation of hardware, from one distribution of CDH or something else, and you wanted to find out how good it is as measured by something, which is really what a benchmark does. So you would run some benchmark, and that unfortunately doesn't exist. So what we are trying to do is to propagate and develop something called BigBench, which is right now the leading macro benchmark for big data. And again, we are not keeping it closed. There is actually active work going on in TPC, and we are taking the lead. As you can see from the URL, all the resources there are open sourced. So you can go to the Intel GitHub, download that benchmark. It has 30 queries. It exercises a bunch of Hive, Python, MapReduce, and you can run it on any hardware starting from your desktop, and you can figure out what that performance is. And so the idea is, as this benchmark gets entrenched and established, ultimately not Intel, but ultimately OEMs will run this benchmark and demonstrate the goodness of a particular Hadoop distro on some version of the JVM on their proprietary platform based on Intel. So that's the end state that we are driving towards. Okay. So I want to leave you with a quick summary of what I went through today. So the first bullet needs no speaking to, and because that is happening, it is demanding that we contribute to a different set of tools than what we have used historically. And as I've hopefully been able to articulate, we are at a unique place because we control the underlying hardware right from compute to storage to network, and we are active, good citizens of the Hadoop community. We are able to influence the direction and shape the development of those platforms and those projects so that Hadoop and the workloads run best on IA. That's our ultimate goal. And obviously in doing that, we are also actively collaborating with ISVs and our other ecosystem partners. We have a vibrant model of collaboration with the research community. So a lot of the work that's going on, for example, on cancer research at OHSU, and with, as I'll play in the video, on Parkinson's. ISTC is that collaboration. So there is a link in the resources page. So with all of this, we are making careful choices in what investments we make in which domains, so that we, through this open source, through the platform innovation and all the collaboration we are driving towards, we derive the most value. So with that, I'd like to play a small video. It's a 3-minute clip, but what it does is it reinforces what we are doing, and with all the buzz around wearables and IoTs, we are trying to solve a particularly hard problem so far, which is in the detection, hopefully leading to a cure for Parkinson's. So as all of these devices gather biometric and sensor information, that gets uploaded to the cloud, where hopefully you can run intelligent workloads trying to derive some patterns and infer what's happening between patient data and healthy people data, and trying to figure out if you can have any correlations from there. So if I'm able to play it, I will try to do that.
Stopped.
I'm 38 years old, I'm healthy, I'm a marathoner, I barely have any symptoms, and my doctor tells me I have a disease for old people. That's a little shocking.
One of the things that we find with Parkinson's patients is that living with the disease is challenging, and they almost don't know what steps to be taking.
Parkinson's is a scary thing for anybody, and for a young person, it's particularly scary. Job, kids to raise a life you want to enjoy to the fullest.
So when I heard Brett was participating in a study about technology, I was really thrilled and excited.
We've long struggled with a challenge where physicians are really seeing patients infrequently and in a very short snippet of time. The idea of marrying technology such as wearables to the experience of the patient day in and day out enables us really for the first time to collect an extraordinary amount of data.
Having a device allowed the technology to do a lot of that work for me in a way that I barely even noticed. And to me, that's very promising.
The objective is to create a technology platform that Parkinson's researchers can use to both better understand the behavior of the disease, as well as identify treatments that can slow the progression and improve care.
Establishing an open access platform where data from different devices over time can be collected leads us on a path of thinking, wow, we can really distribute it broadly to the scientific communities. Being able to partner with Intel and take advantage of and benefit from the ability for machine learning and algorithm generation is just an extraordinary gift to science and to our ability to bring this type of additional data to our field.
We are thrilled to have had the opportunity to work with the Michael J. Fox Foundation to build this end-to-end big data analytics platform to advance the research behind Parkinson's disease with the obvious objective of identifying a cure.
There is nothing more important to Parkinson's patients than a better treatment and a cure. Anything that allows us to have a really good quality of life as long as possible is the goal.
And that's our hope, that there will be a cure in our lifetime.
So with that, I'm at the end of the presentation and the video, and I just want to leave you guys with a few resources. So as I mentioned, our Science and Tech Center collaboration, that link is there. Soumya's presentation yesterday also had references to those two presentations on Spark. And as I mentioned, our Hadoop repo is on GitHub. You can access Big Bench and some of the other stuff we're doing there. And you're more than welcome to watch the video and other stuff that we're doing on YouTube. This particular video that I played is also available on YouTube. With that, I want to thank you all for coming here and listening to us and sharing this journey with us. And if there are any questions that we didn't get to, I'd be happy to take those now or in the break.
Big data platform for the Parkinson's disease open for users outside the Fox Research Lab or anyone? Like, can we, any normal people can access that data and can do something out of it?
Are you talking about the data collected from the variables that
Yes.
are worn by the patients and
Yes.
non-patients?
Yes.
That's a good question. I'm not sure we open up the data in raw format like that. I think it is accessible to a pool of researchers for sure, but I'm not sure at this moment whether it's open to everybody. Okay. I don't think it's open at this point.
Okay.
I don't think so.
The question was, the benchmark that we are driving to, does it take into account the growing data sets, or is it frozen as of today? Did I paraphrase? Okay. The answer is the benchmark itself is fairly configurable. I'm talking in particular about Big Bench now. So Big Bench, obviously all benchmarks are synthetic workloads. They try to mimic end customer workloads and applications. So Big Bench has its origins in the retail industry. So it's a set of 30 queries meant to do things like basket analysis and price fluctuations of neighboring products and so on. But the data sets and the sizes are configurable. Now I don't remember offhand what the range of the data set is, meaning can you go up to like 5 petabytes? I doubt it. But there is a min and a max that you can configure. And obviously as the data sets and as the workloads increase, the ranges also will expand. So yes, you have the ability to run either the whole benchmark, the entire thing. It can run take several hours to conclude, or you can run just one query. You can even customize it to run one query multiple times, or all the queries once, all the queries multiple times. There's a lot of flexibility. So it's a benchmark that you can first install and tune and then run. Sure.
Yeah, many thanks, Milind, for your contribution, and we would definitely like to felicitate you with the certificate. Can we have a huge round of applause for his doing so?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you also take a picture? Thank you.
so let's break for coffee and tea and reassemble exactly at 11 o'clock when the track splits into two, wherein we're going to have an industry case study track which is going to happen here, and the leadership track that would happen in the neighboring auditorium. And just another quick announcement, the first session under the leadership track would be taken by Shrujana, who would be covering big data analytics and enabler to foster business sustainability. Thank you.